the past 2 years, with the economy hit hard by successive waves of coronavirus pandemic, it was the government's capex push that saved the day for the economy. This was particularly crucial as capacity utilization had plummeted and private sector was reluctant to make any fresh investments. And now, any hope of early recovery in private investment has also been dashed by a third wave of the pandemic. Latest set of high-frequency data clearly depicts this vulnerability. For example, even before the Omicron variant caused any major damage in India, growth in 8 infrastructure sectors dipped to a 9-month low at 3.1% in November. And PMI manufacturing slumped to a 3-month low in December at 55.5. Sitharaman, who will present her budget in the thick of the third wave, is expected to stay on course and push for at least 6.5 trillion rupees in public expenditure for FY23, compared with 5.5 trillion in FY22. However, the sluggish trend in capex so far, with only 49% utilization by November last year, despite a 26% increase in allocation for FY22, has raised concerns amongst observers. The government is expected to continue to lay emphasis on National Infrastructure Pipeline and National Monetization Plan in the upcoming budget to both revive investment and augment government revenues. The Gati Shakti panel is expected to make the process of identification and monitoring of the infrastructure project under the National Infrastructure Pipeline more efficient and smooth. The Finance Minister is also expected to announce further fund infusion in the National Investment in Infrastructure Fund and National Bank for Financing Infrastructure and Development to bridge the funding gap in the infrastructure space. With REITs and InvITs gaining popularity as a vehicle of investment in assets in the infrastructure sector, even for PSUs, the government may incentivize these routes of investment. It may also reduce the holding period in REITs and InvITs to be classified as long-term investment from 36 months to 12 months on a par with listed securities.
I think India needs an independent autonomous organization to handle PPPs. PPPs can't be carried on the shoulder of DA and Niti Aayog because they work differently and they are structured differently. We need professionalism, we need good quality independent expert. We also need flexibility so that 50% at least should be with the private sector. Now we have Ayushman Bharat scheme as an insurance scheme, and now we should leverage it to create hospital infrastructure in tier 2 and tier 3 cities using Ayushman Bharat insurance scheme. Same thing is on education and skills also. We should create world-class skill and education institute on PPPs to get the best advantage of India demographic dividend. In terms of power, I think the PLI scheme has been introduced in many of the renewable energy sector, including solar, etc. But there is a problem in the supply chain, and we need to give some PLIs and GST concession on supply chain also on entire value chain and suppliers base for these renewables, so that we can compete with many countries which are really dumping into India. Thank you.
Given the high demand for digital infrastructure to deliver healthcare and education in the virtual mode, the government may also encourage private players to join hands with it to roll out broadband connectivity in the hinterland. The union budget may also announce measures to strengthen the public-private partnership dispute resolution mechanism, uniform PPP institutional framework, easier terms for infrastructure companies accessing bond markets, and tax stops. As Sitharaman presents her fourth budget on February 1st, corporate India will keenly watch what more she does to unleash the animal spirits in the economy.
Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman ji has given us 4 Ns over the last 12 to 18 months in the field of infrastructure: the National Infrastructure Pipeline, the National Monetization Pipeline, the National Bank for Financing Infrastructure and Development, and the National Program and Policy Management Framework for building capacities that go into creating such infrastructure. So, what to do is answered, how to finance it is answered, how to get the whole thing done. And 4 things that we would like to see in the budget as focus. Number one, the 4 C's. Number one is coordination. Number two is capacity. Number three is contracts. And number four is confidence. Coordination between Government of India, Government of States, and Government of Cities, where most of the infrastructure is going to be built. Capacity. NHAI has capacity to deliver 40 kilometers per day of highways. can we get the same capacity in municipal bodies, in state governments? Number 3 is contracts. The biggest problem for Indian business is enforcement of contracts and dispute resolution. How can we go and create a construction law following the example of so many other successful countries so that prompt payments happen, prompt disputes resolution happen, and in all the ease of doing business is much better. And finally, confidence. Private investment will come in after public investment lays the bulwark and foundation.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.